If you've ever battled with pests, poor soil, or you just want healthier plants, companion planting might be the answer for you. Many new gardeners start out with an interest in growing food and don't think much about flowers. But if you just have a garden full of food and no flowers, in time you're going to notice some problems. Flowers really help to create a balanced ecosystem, and even fungi can contribute to this. In this episode, we're going to talk about 15 different companion plants that all can contribute to a healthy garden. But before we get into specific plant pairings, as well as ones to avoid, let's discuss the different types of companion plants that there are. First, you have your trap crops. These plants lure pests away from your main crop and feast on that trap crop, so it serves as a sacrificial plant so that you can keep pests away from things that you really care more about. Then you have your pest repelling plants. Some plants produce natural chemicals that repel pests. Then you have your pollinator and beneficial insect attractors. Flowers draw in pollinators like bees, butterflies to pollinate your crops so that you have an increased production in things like tomatoes, cucumbers, squash. And these same plants also lure beneficial insects that help keep your pest population under control. Some companion plants help to break up the soil with their robust roots. Their roots not only help to break up the soil, but they also help fungi to do their job of making tunnels underneath to carry nutrients from one plant to another, which we're going to get into later. For your convenience, I made a free guide of all the plants. It has the pictures, growing tips, and it also warns you about pairings to avoid, which I'm going to mention in this video. If you'd like to pick it up, I'll leave a link in the description. Let's start with calendula. Not only does calendula attract pollinators, but it also acts as a trap crop because aphids love calendula. Calendula is easy to grow. You can spread it all around your vegetable garden, and I don't even notice the aphids on it, and I'd really rather the aphids on my calendula than on my food crops. So this is a great one. Cosmos. Cosmos are great attractors of beneficial insects like hoverflies and parasitic wasps. These both help keep the aphid population under control. Sunflowers. Sunflowers are a triple threat. They attract pollinators, they provide seeds for birds, which contribute to pest control, and they're also great for your soil. You just want to be careful with sunflowers because they are heavy feeders. You don't want to plant them too close to your beans and potatoes because they will stunt their growth. I like to plant my sunflowers along the edge of my vegetable garden, and it also helps give me some privacy from the road. Zinnias. Zinnias are another great one that attract pollinators and beneficial insects like hoverflies, bees, butterflies. And since they are an annual, they are a long bloomer, so this keeps these insects around for the long term of the season. You can plant zinnias near anything. You just want to be careful not to overcrowd them to give them enough airflow because they are prone to powdery mildew. Feverfew. Feverfew is known for its ability to deter both mosquitoes and aphids. It's an excellent companion plant for many vegetables and flowers. It also attracts ladybugs, which feast on all kinds of pests. You want to be careful planting your feverfew near your herbs because it can inhibit their growth. Marigolds. These deter quite a variety of pests, including aphids and whiteflies. That's why many times you'll see gardeners plant them near their tomatoes and their peppers. You don't want to plant beans near your marigolds because marigolds will inhibit their growth. Nasturtiums, another powerful trap crop. They lure aphids and the cabbage butterfly away from your brassicas like kale and cabbage, and also your cucumber, squash, and tomatoes. This is another one that attracts ladybugs, which handle all kinds of pests. Yarrow. Yarrow is a magnet for beneficial insects, including lacewings and parasitic wasps, which help keep all sorts of pests in check. It also improves your soil structure. It's easy to grow from seeds, so this is a great one, and it comes in many different colors. Alyssum. Alyssum is another beneficial insect attractor. It attracts things like hoverflies, which prey on aphids. It also acts as a living mulch, and it grows easily from seeds, so you can just sprinkle it around your vegetables in spring. The last flower we're going to talk about crosses over into edibles because there's the ornamental version and there's the edible version. Alliums. Alliums, whether ornamental or the edible, which include garlic, chives, onions, are fantastic companions for roses in particular. Why is this? Because alliums contain sulfur compounds that repel Japanese beetles, aphids, and even black spot fungus. Plus, the strong scent of alliums can mask the scent of the plants next to it, so that confuses pests. What not to plant near alliums? Beans, peas, and asparagus, because alliums can inhibit the growth of all three of these. Speaking of edibles, let's get into some more plants that are in that category. Mushrooms. Many new gardeners get nervous when after a rain they see mushrooms springing up in the garden, or they see that white stringy fungus and they think there's some sort of disease or bad mold growth, but actually this is a good sign. Mycelium, the underground network of fungi, plays a crucial role in breaking down organic matter, improving soil structure, and even helping plants absorb nutrients. Mycorrhizal fungi connect plant roots, forming a hidden network that allows plants to exchange water and nutrients. It's really amazing. When you turn the soil, you disturb this network that's going on underneath. That's why no-dig has gotten so popular, because scientists have discovered that when you mess with that underneath, it's not that easy to rebuild. So for the healthiest soil, you want to disturb it as little as possible. That's why at the end of the year, I've stopped pulling out even my annuals, because that can disturb the soil unnecessarily. It's better just to cut them off at the top. When I say annuals, I'm talking about my annual flowers and also my vegetables. Now, you don't want to eat any of these wild mushrooms popping up, but you can grow edible mushrooms. You can order them online from all sorts of places. I've ordered from norspore.com and I had success. Oyster mushrooms are supposed to be the easiest, so that's what I picked. I got a bag of grain spawn, crumbled it up, and I sprinkled it underneath my bark chips by my raspberries, because you want to put it somewhere it's going to get shade. So I put it on the north side of them. And then I did get mushrooms in the spring, but I wasn't checking every day and I missed the window. By the time I got to them, they were shriveled and they weren't very edible. But they do come back every year. So this spring I'm going to be on it. I'm going to be checking them, and I'm really looking forward to having some oyster mushrooms. So if you do that, you're improving your soil health and you're growing another edible. And you can grow mushrooms in between your vegetables. Even if you're lacking shade in your garden, once your vegetables grow up, they're going to give the mushrooms that shade. Have you ever tried to grow mushrooms? Let me know in the comments. Now for a classic pairing. Basil and tomatoes. Not only does basil and tomatoes go excellent in caprese salad, they also grow together very well too. The basil actually makes your tomatoes taste better. And not only that, the basil repels common pests to tomatoes like aphids, hornworms, whiteflies, plus the aromatic oils in basil can help reduce fungal diseases, keeping your tomatoes healthier longer in the season. Legumes, including peas and beans. This is a special one because they actually get nitrogen out of the air, and they're able to convert it into a form that plants can accept. As these plants continue to grow, they continue to release nitrogen into the soil, enriching it and helping out heavy feeders like tomatoes and corn. My next companion plant is a trap crop, Brussels sprouts. If you want to grow Brussels sprouts to eat, I do recommend putting some sort of netting over them, but I also recommend having some Brussels sprout plants out for the aphids to go to. Aphids really love Brussels sprouts, and this keeps them away from other things. I like to plant Brussels sprouts near my grapes. Since I've been doing this, my grapes have remained untouched. Bronze fennel. Bronze fennel is such a pollinator magnet. I love this plant. You have to be careful with this one. It's actually not the easiest companion plant because you really don't want to plant it near anything because it needs a lot of nutrients, but it lures so many beneficial insects to your garden. So if you have a spot that you can kind of put it on the outskirts, it is just so beautiful. It smells so good. You can harvest the fennel seeds, which is really great if you make your own sausage because fennel seeds are really expensive. And it's just fun to walk in the garden and get a whiff of that fennel. But also, it's a host plant for the swallowtail butterfly. So when you have it, you'll notice later in the season it is filled with those caterpillars. So it's going to bring butterflies to your garden on top of the other insects, and it's just a great plant. By using companion planting, you can really help the balance of your garden. You can avoid using pesticides, and you can have healthier soil without having to add many amendments to it, and you'll have a more beautiful garden. And don't forget, if you want to pick up that free guide, I'll link it in the description. It has all the do's and don'ts that we mentioned of companion planting. What's your favorite companion plant? Is there one that I missed? Let me know in the comments. Take care. Thanks for watching.